Good evening, and welcome to Lord Goo-Goo's stream. Consider becoming a subscriber today to access the exclusive Stephen Sondheim Twitch emote. Tonight's performance of Musical Theater is Good Actually will run approximately 90 minutes with one intermission, and tonight the role of co-host will be played by Alex Kliner. This evening's program will be presented in the round. To best enjoy this, please place your viewing device in the middle of your room and slowly walk in a circle around it for the duration of the evening. Now please, enjoy Musical Theater is Good Actually. Musicals aren't a bore. Just open your eyes and you'll see much more. It's real. They're real. I don't get how people succumb to basic opinions and then go numb to feels. They're better than you're saying when you judge them by Hamilton. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and ALW. Actually, it's good. It's good, actually. There's nothing at all that is wrong when an actor feels compelled to sing a song. I wish, I know. So trust in what Goo-Goo will say, that musical theater is A-okay, and it's better than you're telling. It is more than Glee and Skrelting. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and there's Bill Finn too. Actually, it's good. It's good, actually.
See, that it would have been a tragedy. It was just a simple closing and reopening the program, folks, but it was, we spent a bit of time on that.
I mean, it was like an hour.
Yeah. Well, true. We did still keep the spirit of, first thought, best thought, dumb as possible, whatever is dumbest
is the yummest.
Alex and I feel very awkward about how much we should look at each other.
So the problem is, you're used to, having this orientation here, and then, but you want to naturally talk to your friend.
But then that's also strange.
This is very odd.
You don't ever find yourself
talking
to a friend
we're
like
sitting
that.
with the two chairs are touching.
Thank you, Matt. That was very funny. Alex did all the video work.
It's just a matter of opening iMovie and quickly teaching myself how to put Bobby in a blur.
That's it.
That's the secret. And that's show business, folks.
And we all learned, and we made ourselves laugh quite a bit. I'm gonna keep that up. I might play that again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abby.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of fun to do. It's always fun to imitate child acting.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first show I've talked about that has extensive child acting in it. I mean, we've watched I guess Into the Woods has a Little Red,
and The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood also had good child acting in it. Not a musical.
Is this writing the Good Son musical? I mean, this is a part of how my brain is broken, is that anytime I watch a movie, I'm like, this could be a musical. Yeah. This would make a really good musical. I've been watching a bunch of Cronenberg movies, and almost all of them, I'm like, this could be a musical. You could do Videodrome the musical, it would rock. He has a whole vagina in his stomach that he puts a gun in.
I haven't seen it.
Well, it stars James Woods, who I'm a big fan of just for his politics, though.
Yeah, he's got some cool things to say.
yeah, that's a joke, everybody.
Yeah, no.
Happy Pride. It is
Yes!
Pride. I'm wearing... Look, this is rainbow. Actually, didn't do it on purpose fully, but that works. And I really... of, you know, all the queer musicals, and there's a good number. This might be my favorite. Although... I mean, like, because there's plenty of musicals where there's gay characters, you know?
Sure.
I mean, I guess La Cage is also very good. That is, of course, La Cage aux Folles, which is the Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
Yeah, is based off of.
The Bird's Cage.
Quite a good musical as well. That's a really good classic one. I mean, and then, of course, you have, like, Rent, which
Hamilton.
Nope.
No?
Nope. Well, there are two very coded lines of between Lawrence and Hamilton. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Because it's like a whole thing of like it's like one of those things that, like, you know, Abraham Lincoln was gay and like this was his, like, or whatever. There's this whole implication that he and Lawrence, maybe also based on some of the letters they wrote to each other, were possibly also more than friends. Oh, Emmy, hello.
Oh, hi,
hello,
Emmy.
Emmy. We wish you were here with us.
We're
Oh, also, everybody, we have back here,
guest cat.
that's Buster, of course. He may get up at some point, but right now he's just...
We're going to try to be real quiet, though.
He's enjoying the end of the sunlight. I'm in the new apartment now. This is the office. Don't have the green screen set up yet. It's here. I just don't want to. I'm trying to get a new... I'm not a big fan of this green screen that I have right now.
Okay.
Well,
I didn't realize they were, like, different.
Well, this one's like, it's like a dark green. It's like a forest green or something. It's not the lime green.
The chroma key is off.
Right. And so I always have just a hell of a time with that. And so I want to get a new one. And also, we're here in person, Alex.
I know.
It's fun.
It's a very comfortable orientation.
I know. We're like sitting in a room together.
Yeah. This is a high risk. This would have been very high risk a few months ago.
Yes, but we are both very vaccinated, and we've hung out several times
Yes.
at this point.
Yeah. 2 vaccinated. I got extra ones.
Yeah, I've got Moderna and Pfizer and J&J, and I flew to Europe, got some AstraZeneca too, just to get them all.
That's goals. That's vaccination.
I went
goals.
did the like off-brand Russian one or something too, but that's just because I had business to attend to there at the Kremlin.
It's still saying mean things about Hillary Clinton for money.
I had to pick up some checks.
Important, very important business
from Vlad.
Yeah.
Doing disinformatskaya.
Yep. And doing compromat.
I was doing disinformatskaya and compromat.
Yeah. And we're holding you accountable for that. Not this Pride Month.
As I should be.
Not this Pride Month.
But we are talking about a very queer musical about it's based on a graphic novel by a queer creator, the great Alison Bechdel. I mean, a name that everybody knows if you know, like, pay any attention to culture in the past 10 years.
It's the Bechdel test.
Yeah, actually, I should maybe like pull up the original comic because that's always like a fun.
And I'm just here in the front seat getting to see how the sausage is made. You know, there's
Alex has gotten a big peek behind the curtain.
I've gotten it's how I imagined.
Okay, yeah. I'm going. What?
That's not what you wanted. You can't tell, but he didn't click the right one. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to want to save that image is what I'm going to want to do.
What he's doing is he's downloading an image, and he's getting it, he's preparing it for you, and he's going to be able to show it to you through the magic of streaming, and we'll be kind of at the same visual.
It's going to be called Unnamed, and it's just going to go right to the download.
It's going right to the
chaotic.
Downloads. It's Gemini season, says.
We are going to... whatever.
Okay. Here we are.
And here it is. And here it is, folks.
Oh, there we go. Right there.
Right there.
I'm going to look at it elsewhere. Okay.
Oh, wait. It's like cutting it off? What? Is this not the whole thing? Oh, my God. This sucks. Anyway, the Bechdel test comic. Look it up yourself.
Yeah, it's not our job to...
It actually is a very funny comic. And it is... What's most funny about it is that it became this actual cultural signifier. and that's like purely by accident, kind of. It's like it's just funny how that happens with comics. It's like,
well, and like if you write stuff, like especially like for screen or anything like that, where you're imagining characters literally assembling in real space, like it is helpful to keep in mind that you make sure that you have women doing other things than worrying about men.
Well, and it's a real like eye opener to just consider that how rare that is, and that's insane. So people don't know what the Bechdel test is. I am actually now getting a good version of the comic.
We're getting that ready now.
It's gonna happen, folks. Don't worry.
We're gonna scoot to the side.
Yeah,
yep.
I moved us to the side because this is going to be in vertical here, so it's gonna look great.
I'm so excited for you to see this, guys.
Guys, it's going to be awesome. Actually, Alex, let's do a dramatic reading of the Bechdel test.
Whoa! I don't think we should.
No?
All right. Well, but
it's fine. We don't have to.
No, we can read it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We can read
Oh my god, you guys.
All right. Well, we'll do it frame by frame. Okay. First, Hang on.
Okay. So it's just enormous, but you're going to be able to read it. That's the good news. Okay. All right. So I'll be the lighter haired one.
Okay.
Want to see a movie and get popcorn?
And then we're looking at like the mercenary.
The mercenary is the poster we're looking at.
My character says, "Well, I don't know. I have this rule. See, I only go to a movie if it satisfies 3 basic requirements. 1, it has to have at least 2 women in it, who, 2, talk to each other about 3, something besides a man."
Now they just walk a bit.
Yep.
And then, pretty strict, but a good idea.
No kidding. Last movie I was able to see was Alien. The 2 women in it talk to each other about the monster.
They walk a bit more. Want to go to my house and make popcorn?
Now you're talking.
Because there's nothing for these women.
Oh, what's up?
Hey, Source Force, what's going on? I think it's a really great cultural shorthand, and also a cool. It's for something to be a representation and like to break out for Alison Bechdel. I think that's a good sort of one good representation of her POV. Of just boldly kind of trying to...
And also, like, I would refuse to even engage with this as, like, a culture war kind of thing, because it's, like, truly just good advice. Like...
Right, and it literally is such, like, a personal kind of observation thing, and even how it's presented. Like, she's not writing a doctoral essay on this or anything. She's like, this is just my personal rule.
And it's tremendously uncontroversial, I think, now, but at the time, like...
But it's stunning to think, especially when this was in like probably the mid '80s. I think that this came out. This particular comic.
Back when all the movies were just like, hey, the fellow men, let's go to the golf course and smack a lady's butt, and then like maybe
and then
Alf will be there,
and Rodney Dangerfield appears and goes, "Let's all get laid."
And then no one has any respect, and frankly, you don't, you only get the respect you deserve. Rodney.
Yeah.
Rodney, putting Rodney Dangerfield on
Caddyshack
notice.
was supposed to be a real, like, cultural class satire, and they took it away from Doug Kenny and made it into just a stupid thing. It's a very sad story, Doug Kenny. Anyway.
I'm not prepared to speak on that.
That's all right. So Alison Bechdel, she's kind of like an indie comic artist, probably in like alt weeklies and stuff like that. And, I think she released some collections of works. Yeah, comics with an X, exactly. And in 2006, she releases a graphic novel personal memoir called Fun Home, which is about her growing up in a funeral home. And also it's told sort of unstuck in time a bit, and it's very autobiographical. It's kind of the like adaptation, the movie move of like putting your literal actual self into the movie, like as you're trying to figure out the thing you're making.
Yeah.
And so hell yeah, Hell's Attack. It's a graphic novel that made a really big impact, I think, right away. Because it's such a unique story, and and so it's about her and her father particularly,
Yeah.
as she comes to terms with her sexuality, and in doing so reveals a lot about her father's own sexuality that he had kept hidden. And it opens up all kinds of wounds in their family, and father just cutting to the chase here, folks, because it's actually this plot point is revealed at the end of like the first big number, that he ends up killing himself by throwing himself in front of a like speeding truck. Like along the side of the road, and so you always know from the beginning that that's
right. And this is also like really happened, right?
Yes.
So I don't think you know.
Although I believe that it wasn't actually classified as a suicide. I believe it was like an accident, but the Alison Bechdel is like he threw himself in front of a truck. Like I think it's suggested to be like her inference, more so in the book, I think, than here. In here, it's very straightforward that he killed himself. And so that sounds like quite a bummer, but it's actually got a lot of moments of levity and a lot of fun. And as you could see from the very funny beginning, and if folks got here late, I'll play it later as well. A lot of child acting as well.
Yes.
And so Alison Bechdel, who is herself the main character in the show, but she's also portrayed by 3 actors. So you have just Alison, who's the main, narrator for us, and she's mostly like, where she returns specifically, she has her own space on the stage that is...
she's like present day.
Right.
And
her drafting board.
Outside of...
Right, and so she'll walk among the action and stuff sometimes as she's commenting on it, but she always like keeps returning to the drafting board where she's like, whatever, working on it. It's... Mouse was another famous graphic memoir. There were actually like a whole like spate of these kind of, especially in like the mid to late 2000s. I remember there was one like called like Blankets or something that I used to flip through at the bookstore to find the sex scenes in it. Just kidding.
Pretty cool.
Look,
pretty cool.
And so she's told. So there's small Allison.
Yes.
Which is Allison, I believe, like 10 or 11 or so.
Right. And that is also like concurrent in age with the brother and sister as well.
And so that when we see small Allison, she also has her little brother and sister, which I also found out that Alison Bechdel's youngest brother it was in a bunch of metal bands. Actually,
industrial, really. It was like Ministry.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like Skinny Puppy. It was something like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, wait. Nope, that's the novel. I want the musical. Oh, guys, it's all happening. I got it. I found it. Yes, John Bechdel. He was in Ministry, Fear Factory, Abstinence, Prong, Killing Joke, Murder, Inc., and Brian Brain. And he has since worked with False Icons, Ascension of the Watchers, and more recently with the band Nukes, along with Chris Connolly and some other people. So there you go. So he's also, so 2 kids have, like, out of this family kind of had really very different creative careers, which I think is cool. And so also he's the youngest brother, I believe. So that's like the youngest child. And the kids have like 2 numbers that they really feature. Well, one is their biggest number is the Fun Home, which is like a really, really fun number because it's like, what is it like to be a kid growing up in a weird funeral home? Yeah, you kind of already playing around.
Yeah, it's one of the things because I wasn't familiar with this and I hadn't seen it until you streamed it earlier. And I'm sorry, you.
I didn't stream
it. No, you.
No, we should say earlier, guys. I'm gonna take the VOD down really soon. I'm sorry this keeps happening.
We can't have it.
To any of the producers of Fun Home,
Look,
especially Scott Rudin, if he was one of them.
We are as
especially
anti-piracy. I love copyright laws.
I hate taking money out of Scott Rudin's pocket.
I think that the entire system of copyright is a really well-functioning and definitely serves artists. So we're big copy heads over here.
Hang on, actually, I want to just see.
So don't worry.
Rudin. No, okay, no hits for Rudin. No hits for Rudin in the Wikipedia here, folks. Scott Rudin was not involved. Good to know. He's an asshole. He does, but he produces a lot of theater.
I think there's a lot of people like that probably.
Yeah, I mean most of them that have the money. Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about?
We were talking about the
kids,
the Fun Home. We were talking about the Fun Home, the song. I think we were mentioning, and I just think it's very cool how there is this legend within the family, pretty much, that they refer to.
Yeah,
funeral home is Fun Home.
Right. It's like that kind of is a window into the family itself, right there, because they're a very educated, like erudite kind of family. You know, the mom was a big actor. She still does some.
She played
community acting. She plays piano. The father now, who's our sort of the big. I don't know what to call. He's like the object of fascination of the show or something for Allison.
It's serves an antagonist
Allison
part,
is outwardly she's trying to figure out her dad and what his deal was and what really was going on there. He's the subject of the show. Right, that's the main driving. Yeah. So it's from Allison's perspective at 3 different ages, which, that's the other thing. I didn't say medium Allison.
Yes.
Is Allison just going to college, Oberlin, which ironically, Judy Kuhn, who plays the mom, actually went to Oberlin.
Look at that.
But
only in Broadway, baby. Could you have that?
Yeah. So she's going to Oberlin, and that's where she kind of comes to terms with her own sexuality and comes out to her parents, and that sort of. And so it's jumping between, Allison from a very, very young age, when she's kind of too naive to really fully understand what's going on, to her being a college student and seeing sort of how her own coming out or whatever spirals her family, and especially her dad.
I mean, that is
and how that reflects on her memories of stuff from her childhood and then into adulthood, even having that. So it's like a reflecting mirror or something through time. In a really, really cool way, in the way that it's very fluidly, it's never completely linear.
No, but it is uniquely kind of tragic. I think it's that her own relationship with her sexuality and her own acceptance of it. At least probably this wasn't the entire case in the real life, but the people who wrote this story wanted to make that her self-actualization was to the detriment ultimately of her father,
right?
And her willingness to step into and label herself queer was too much for him, who has this entire closeted horrible routine worked out. And
well, I mean, I don't know how much it actually initiates his spiral or whatever you want to call it.
There is a lyric, though, wasn't there, that was I didn't know that my beginning would be your end, or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, so there is a bit of it, but it's also it's an opening of wounds and of so much, because as we go through the show and it flashes back, you see a memory of small Allison where her dad's getting in a suit, and she's like, "Oh, why are you getting dressed up? Where are you going?" And he tells her that he has to go see a psychiatrist, and she doesn't understand why. And you come to find out that he had been arrested for giving beer to an underage person, a minor. That he was, and this is part of the story of Bruce Bechdel. Right. This is the true story, I believe, is that he was caught with a minor and everything. So this is not just a guy on the down low. This is somebody with some pretty serious, issues here. But who knows how much of that is from, well, you don't want to say why, but there's a lot of self-hate going on and all that kind of thing. And a lot of him giving advice to medium Allison in particular, and young Allison. Like there's a scene where young Allison, he's trying to get her to wear a dress, and she doesn't want to put on the dress at all, and she's really upset about it. And he just says, like, do you want to stand out? Do you want to be
right?
Like, and you hear these sort of things, and knowing what you know of him, and there is this sort of tragedy in revisiting these memories for the full grown Allison.
Yeah, it's like an unparalleled, like, complicated story that you really don't hardly see like any sort of archetype for this, where it's like queer parent, queer child. One is of a time where they live their entire sexuality internally, and one in the external, and like trying to see them like. There's that one moment, or it's only implied, I don't know, like in the action of the story, like if it literally happened, but like where he invites her to like a gay bar, but he won't like say that. He says like a bar for people like us, and like you have this like very cruelly short moment where they're talking to each other about it.
Right, that's the most tragic part of the show for me, and we're just gonna jump all around this, folks, because it's just gonna be us shooting the shit tonight. It's gonna be fun. Come hang out, everybody stick around.
Please don't leave us.
But yeah, please don't.
Please.
But the scene towards the end where he asks medium Allison to take a ride with him, to go for a drive. But medium Allison isn't there, and the big Allison is there. And so basically, she envisions if she could have had one more drive with him,
right,
what could she have said? What could she have done? And also, to your point, those little hints of what could have been if he could have accepted who he was, or worked, and dealt with who he was, or whatever, and that they could have just had, that queer parent, queer child relationship that they were.
Oh, okay. So that was like totally speculative then.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe so. Or it's like he did go on a drive with medium Allison, but but definitely the reason that she puts herself at full grown in there is because, that's a beautiful, heartbreaking song, because she's saying, say something, anything, she's saying, what can I, like, there's something that I have to be able to do here that I missed.
Great scene.
And that's very, very tragic. And then, soon after that is him having his final song and reckoning with all of that.
Right.
But while we're talking about songs, let's step back, now that we've kind of sketched out most of the, what's going on here. And I want to talk about the creators of this show. In particular, folks, we all know, canonically, in the musical theater is good at actually canon, my second favorite composer, Jeanine Tesori, who this is her most recent major work. She did win, along with Lisa Kron, who also wrote the book, she won Best Score for this. This won Best Musical at the Tonys as well. Michael Cerveris won Best Actor.
What year?
26. No, 20. So it opened 2015.
Oh, okay.
And I think it might have been the Tonys would have been in 2016 for it. I think. Maybe.
Okay, cool.
Or maybe not. Maybe it opened before the 2015 Tonys. So it's 2015, 2016. And, well, it opened 2015, rather. We've previously talked about Jeanine Tesori on the show with Megaspell, and we talked about Shrek. Because she did the music for Shrek, and that's some great songs. Really, really good songs. Really, really. And she's a real... you actually pointed out when we were talking about this before, Alex, that you got some hints of Sondheim in this, and
especially compared to Caroline or Change. I'm not really familiar with Shrek, but
that's certainly not. But I do think that she is such a great kind of student of musical theater, and she's done so many different genres that I think she can sort of slip into a more. This is going to be a more Sondheim mode here, where it's going to be. The music's going to echo the emotions of here, or the time, or the place, and kind of flow in and out of the scene, and have a lot of use of themes that kind of come in and out and stuff, and repeated
rhythm,
themes, repeated themes that change their context as it goes, or whatever, and are repurposed in different ways. Yeah, and like the rhythm and a lot of like,
It's optional, you know, like
Right,
the
right.
drums are optional, like
yeah,
for a lot
and
of it.
a lot of interpretation of.
Whereas like Carolina changes, it's all over the place, in not in an unfocused way, but it borrows from a lot.
It's really purposefully kind of segmented.
Right.
I feel like Carolina Change almost has, which is my, I would say, second or third favorite musical, Carolina Change.
It's a good one.
It's my favorite Jeanine Tesori musical. And I think that that's almost a kind of Brechtian aspect about it, to be so segmented like that, and like how it's like the radio, the dryer, turns
Right.
on, and like every song is a very clear purpose. It's like Dottie and Caroline wait for the bus. It's like these are like all the songs.
Yeah, I mean it could be,
and especially because it has such a sort of capitalist kind of or like criticism in it, in that she doesn't make enough money. $30 a week isn't enough to support her family of 4, as she repeatedly sings. So I think that also, but it tells it through a very personal narrative to give you a window into that sort of thing. So that all felt kind of Brechty to me.
Yeah, I mean I could also see Carolina Change, if you can imagine it as like an animated Disney musical. It just would be about adult things, but like the way that like, there are songs that sound like the world. There are songs that are very internal, but they're still like pleasing and not like not as difficult like conceptually as like some of how Sondheim harmonizes and how I think some of this show works musically.
Well, part of what I love about Carolina Change so much is that it puts like it's a real celebration of an internal life of like a very deep and complicated and sad. It really like gives a big production number to feeling sad. Like there's like it's all really, the show is about dealing with the fact that you're just depressed, and you're always going to have depression. You're always going to have the things that you have to live with, and how do you make meaning out of it? How do you find those moments of joy? How do you find and what do you leave? And what do you do it for? What do you leave behind with your children? And that's another connection that I really feel between Carolina Change and Fun Home, is that sort of, and it's much more actually tragic in Fun Home, because in Carolina Change, Emmy is, like they have this very tough relationship, her and her daughter, but in the end, she's the one that's like, I'm the daughter of a maid, and she's proud of it, and she's going to live with her mom's lessons and stuff. And there's a lot of that in Fun Home as well, but there's also that the tragedy that he didn't get to even fully like live as she's gotten to, kind of.
Right. Yeah, and also like it's interesting because I never thought of that until you mentioned it, but like Carolina Change actually is like a very relatively small story. You can get thrown off of that by like including the assassination of JFK.
Right.
You can get thrown off of that because there's literally a singing bus, but like really at the end it's like
like literally
these major world events happen around her.
First act, like the action of the first act is, she goes about her normal life. The stepmother, or her boss, decides that she wants to teach her stepson a lesson by having Caroline keep any of the change that she keeps. Caroline struggles with that, and eventually does take some home. And the son also, Noah, is obsessed with Caroline. He kind of so he deliberately is leaving change to feel a kind of connection with her because he's lost his mother, and blah 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 blah. And that's the first act. And then the second act is they have a Hanukkah party, and
like the
her
klezmer
daughter
music, and that is awesome.
Oh, the Hanukkah scene is really good. Well, and that's another.
There's like a clarinet solo that just rips.
Is that it's also a big sort of culture clash thing, because it's a very Jewish musical family, where the father is a clarinet teacher and his mother played bassoon, but she's now dead. But that sort of haunts as well, like this bassoon and clarinet. And they're all very Jewish, so it's a very kind of klezmer inspired sound, and the clarinet heavy. And then when it's Caroline and her sort of fantasy people of the dryer and the radio and all that's very Motown, and that's very like R&B of the 60s and 1963, and that's like such a great way to sort of play up that sort of disconnect. And so she has a lot of fun with that, with the genre. Oh, Source Force. There is an amazing bootleg. It's kind of shitty audio. You can only hear it in one ear. But there's a pretty good bootleg of, I want to say, the final performance or the final week of performances. Tanya Pinkins' voice is shot, but she is brilliant.
Yeah. Might be worth listening to the soundtrack
and the
first
soundtrack,
and then watching
Well, the
it.
soundtrack is a great listen as well because it's all sung through. And it is a very good radio play. Maybe just look up some images from it because the whole thing is that, like, the radio comes to life and how that's depicted on stage typically is, like, above where the radio is, some lights come on, and then there's like three girls there that are like doing some Supremes kind of choreo.
Yeah, I would just like Google like production stills and then just like listen. Because they're
so good.
I mean, I've seen a regional production of it. I saw it in Baltimore.
I saw that same one.
However long ago.
Yeah, and it was good. And
there are massive scenic elements that they used, but like it was only because like the scope. The story is told in the music very, very well. Like you don't get a lot necessarily from watching it.
Well, and it's also one of the initial draws to us for it is in college we did Angels in America. We loved Angels. It was also right when I started college was when the Angels in America HBO miniseries came out. So we were really, really big Kushner heads.
Big K heads.
Heavy into Kush.
Yeah.
You know, steady on that Kush always, I say. And
when I smoked too much, I was into Kush.
I was into Kush. We did Angels in America. Alex was a brilliant Prior, and
Bobby was a magnificent Lewis.
I played myself, and I had a lot of rage at the time. That was fun to work through in that part. And anyway,
this is fun to find out.
At Alex.
Yeah, I know.
Alex actually did a really. I am gonna tell this story of every. So Alex is Prior, and he's
in Perestroika, so like advanced.
At the end of Perestroika, he's like. He's been having these crazy visions and stuff, and so he's in like the hospital towards the end of it. But he's recovering. Spoiler alert, he's okay.
It was Dorothy back in the
This was after he goes up to heaven and talks with the angels and everything.
Yeah.
And then, so it's Dorothy's back home.
Yeah.
And I'm visiting him at the hospital in that scene, and then there's a part where I get in the bed with him. And
no, it's not the part where you get.
Buster.
You start in the bed with me.
Oh, right.
So that was what was so funny is because we had to
wait. The hospital bed.
We had to wait to go on because they were using those wagons to move like scene pieces forward. So Bobby and I would have to like cuddle up in this fucking hospital bed on a wagon, waiting for someone to push us out. Like after a minute or two,
stagehand to pull you back out.
We had to be very quiet and still.
Well,
but it's very ridiculous.
You would do this in the rehearsal room too, though. Was that I would get in the bed and you would, because we would have to freeze. There'd be like a scene that would happen over there, and Alex would just turn to me and go, "I just diarrheaed the whole bed." In
my Prior voice, and it kind of had that. It was like I just diarrheaed the whole bed, and I would say that it's not funny to make fun of people dealing with that disease. However, I was in the express position.
It is funny to try to make your fellow actor
right, and also the character, any actor playing Prior Walter had to do diarrhea work, stage diarrhea work at some point. So. That's my excuse. Like there had to be fight choreography for like a diarrhea moment.
There's a lot that happens in that show. But anyway, Tony,
big show.
But what I think we always loved about Angels in America is that it's a lot of spectacle, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really like and for a play especially to just lean so heavy onto spectacle and huge theatrical elements and wild out there historical characters and stuff just appearing out of nowhere or whatever. Really, really cool, really exciting and fun, especially when you're like in college. And Carolina changes so much in that same mold.
Oh, 100%.
And it really has that sort of Tony Kushner stamp, especially since it's very autobiographical as well. It's really based on Noah, the little boy, is basically Tony Kushner. And there's even a few lines in there where Noah's talking about what he's going to buy with his allowance, and he talks about getting Barbie doll dresses on the sly. Yeah. So there's a little
wink to like this.
That he's going to be gay and stuff, and and it's like the 60s too, so it's like he's gay, feels different, and he's very sad also. He just lost his mother, and like this is so that's sort of
diarrheography. That's very good.
So
controlled diarrhea.
So that's what brought us into Carolina Change. But then the music though was just
it was cool because I think like then all the hot musicals that our generation cohort we're listening to at the time. This is
Spring
like
Awakening.
Spring Awakening, yeah, and then like Avenue
Wicked.
Q, yeah, and then obviously the carryover from the Rent and Wicked era and the all that. Spring Awakening was the hot shit.
Legally
Avenue Q was the
Blonde
hot shit, and then
coming
this
out.
came along.
Actually, no, Legally Blonde was a few years after. Never mind. It was not when we were in college, I don't think.
This came along and it was like, oh, it's not just kind of like tongue-in-cheek funny, which all those shows do really well, and it was like very refreshing to have that, but it was like, and we are back to doing the big work.
Right.
Like we are back to doing...
I mean, you want a good cry,
Yeah.
Put it on, like, seriously. I can't watch the bootleg without just getting, like, really, like, wrecked. I mean, like, emotionally, in a good way, like, in, like, the best way, like, that, like, the true catharsis, like,
Right.
this... The ultimate 11 o'clock number, outside of Rose's turn, Lot's wife that Caroline has, where she just puts
Is
her
that the
whole
Slam
soul,
song?
yeah,
Yeah.
where she puts her whole soul on the line. Oh my god!
Oh my god! But I Hate the Bus.
Yeah, I hate
one of the
bus.
better
Emmy's,
ballads. Oh my!
Emmy's song. I mean, well, and then Caroline has, her sort of bears her soul moment, and then it's immediately followed by Salty Teardrops by the Radio, which is sort of, it's almost like a commentary on that moment of catharsis, where it's like, you're crying now, but like, it's good. It feels good to cry. It's like kind of what the song's about.
And also, it had that very kind of light, I think, very Tony Kushner-esque thing where he has like a metaphor happening kind of on a grand level that like you don't need, but like but it's there, and
which is the underwater, right?
It is the fact that there is no underground in Louisiana, but she's we have imagery of her.
Those
working
are the
in
first
basement.
lines of the show.
Everything flood.
Yeah. Nothing ever happens underground in Louisiana because there ain't no underground in Louisiana. There is only underwater. However, Caroline does have an underground because she has to go into this basement to do the laundry, and so that's her sort of metaphor for hell.
So it's already like an impossible place, like that he's just like giving you that kind of like this very restrained, like.
Well, and then Underwater, then there's a song towards the end of Underwater. We're just going deep into Caroline or Change, and then we're going to return to Fun Home.
Yeah.
This is
if we feel like it. No, we will. We will absolutely do the assignment.
Is extremely good. Yeah, so then there's a song Underwater at the end where Noah and her sing, and he says, what's it like underwater? And you realize that, it's like in the basement or whatever, but it's more so what's it like living with depression, living with, just life not turning out how you want it to or whatever. And
I think there's also like a class thing going, like you can read that exact same like, illusion.
That's true.
Because
that's part of what makes her feel weighed down and underwater.
Right.
Is
like
money.
It's kind of like a sunken space kind of thing, like literally in a basement in Louisiana where this doesn't exist. So Kushner, gorgeous at metaphors. They're all over the place.
But part of what's so great about it is like the lyrics are so beautiful, but the music really supports them, and they complement each other so well. And Jeanine Tesori always does just music. She always is just the composer. She's never done lyrics or anything like that. She just does composers. But prior to this, she did Thoroughly Modern Millie, which launched the career of Sutton Foster, and that has a book writing team and a lyric writing team, I think. So those were like separate. But then basically from this point on, more or less, especially with her stage works, she... Oh my god, the cat's being cute on the floor.
He's very cute.
From this point on, she works with one collaborator for at least writing the work, that is the book writer and lyricist. So with Shrek, it was David Lindsay Abaire, who wrote Kimberly Akimbo and Rabbit Hole. And he's a great playwright in his own right. And then for Fun Home, it is Lisa Cron, who is also, I think, and it's important, is also visibly, like, and in her work, dealing a lot with being a lesbian playwright, which is really important, I think. You need to have, and because Jeanine Tesori is not a lesbian, she does have a husband, but
we don't hold it against her.
No, because she does a great job of evoking the emotion. Yeah, she's there.
No, she's remarkably talented, and I think what you were starting to talk before, if we want to transition back into this, is that like the difference between Caroline or Change and Fun Home musically is like when we talk about it sounding more Sondheim, and what I mean by that is like, it is tension in the music that is that is more evocative of how he works. And I think that, like, stylistically, the fact that she's able to do a score full of bops on, Caroline or Change, and like move into that very like restrained, controlled musical space that she did in Fun Home. We're gonna let Buster out.
Let the cat out.
It's only a testament to her. Get out, Buster. Buster, you're gonna have to get all the way out, bud.
He's just letting just the little tip of his tail stay in. Okay, now he's gone.
She's good, guys. Check it out.
Yeah, no, Jeanine Tesori, she's a real one. She's a real one. And and to your point, like in the way that all of those songs in Caroline or Change are so structured, and they're a complete scene in their own right, and then the song changes when the scene changes, and it's like pretty clear. This is much more nebulous.
Right.
Like there are very clear numbers as well, but there's really not that many. It's honestly, it's like, it reminds me. I'm really excited to go back to amusement parks because I love amusement parks.
Yep.
And one of my favorite amusement parks, I've only been once, but I loved it, was Busch Gardens. And when I went, it was my 21st birthday, so that would have been 2007. And at that time, they had just opened a new roller coaster, and I think they've since opened like 4 or 5 more. But at that time, there was only like 7. But the park was so nice, and those rides were so amazing that those highs were enough to kind of sustain, and then just how great all the atmosphere and all the smaller stuff to do or whatever was. So, like, this is my metaphor to be like Fun Home.
Yeah.
Is like, those numbers are so meaty enough, and they carry so much character, and they change the, like, temperature of the show or something. Like, they really fun, and it acquires these themes and the way they get worked in and stuff. But there is very much the Sondheim-y thing of, for the most part, though, she isn't so much concerned about making necessarily the hummable number. Outside of a few of them, which are very contained in their own thing.
I'm just like thinking about the lyrics too. Like they're, I scrolled along on a website, while listening to it, and they're all pretty dense in there. And I think that when you have like important things to say and you're like loading your lyrics with poetry more than you are like the shells of happy sounds to kind of get around an idea, like it's not necessarily the right move to make it hummable when you're literally just trying to give force to the words. Yeah,
you're trying to convey an emotion and a feeling, and a moment for a person. And
the arrangement. I mean, like, we're talking about music now. Like, it was an impressive band because it was like a piano heavy, but there was some clear bass guitar, some clear.
Well, and this is also audio quality.
Right.
I have to say, quite a good Slimer. One of the better Slimers I've seen since Ghostbusters, actually.
I thought I had a Ghostbusters joke, but I don't. So I'll just continue to say I heard guitars, I heard bass, some drums, a lot of piano.
This is what we would call a true chamber piece, right?
Yeah, and then strings, and then like a few like woodwinds, but I didn't hear like brass.
It's maybe a 6-7 piece band. Like, it's really not that big. I mean, no more than 10, which is like Broadway orchestras. Well, Matt would probably know better, but I think they're like at least 16 or so. At least
in like a pit.
I mean, unless it's like, but although that's kind of why you might see things skewing more in this direction in a lot of, and also I think honestly a big reason for the self accompanied where the actors play the instruments themselves.
Union thing.
Well, I think it's just going, shrinking a bit because it's expensive. It's expensive to have. I mean, like the orchestra for Sweeney Todd, it like calls for a minimum of 17 parts if you do it as written. So that's like 17 musicians. Union musicians, you have to pay at those rates.
So any like instrumentalist, go ahead and get out right now. It's all going the way of AI is going to write the music, and it's going to be played by a computer or an actor with a boombox. Get them right out. Unlearn it.
But it serves the show really well too. I mean, because, and also this is a very small cast. I mean, it is actually, let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A cast of 9. Yeah. 3 of which are children, who are great. Also, I mean, but also they are great, but I have to give credit to what's his freaking name, the director. Oh God, he's Sam Gold. Give credit to Sam Gold because I think he found the greatest way to direct children that would just harness their natural cuteness without having to like play it up or anything.
Right.
He gave them like the great like baseline to just kind of be kids on and have fun. So I really appreciated the kids and how they were used in the show as well.
Yeah.
And also their innocence really then plays against when like in the second half of the show when they're in New York and then you have gotten so close to these kids and you feel like that, and then he leaves them alone in this shady hotel room.
Wait a
or
minute.
whatever.
So the second act was in New York?
Well, no, not the whole thing, but there's a sequence where he takes them to New York.
Right, and they're all laying
and
on...
it just happens to be Fleet Week. Mm-hmm. And he's there, and then he is leaving, and Allison catches him, and he goes and he sings her a lullaby.
He wants this, but not to raise his kids.
Yep.
Gross.
It's against God.
It's nasty. That's a bad dad.
Anyway, happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride. Your father is gay and a pedophile, and you are in pain constantly. Happy Pride.
Say, not to be too much of a Redditor, but I do think he is more of an ephebophile. I don't think they were full children.
Yeah, I'm not going to even engage with this
and that makes a difference.
Yeah, okay. It's not. Yeah, it's the youth.
I'm sorry. Even ironically, this is bad. Maybe they will lose this episode. Just kidding.
I can literally go. Should I go?
No. But maybe we can take a break.
Happy Pride, everyone. Fun Home is great. Okay, it's going to deal with the lesbian story, and it's going to deal with her dad, who's of a different time, and the music sounds great. There are 9 people.
My favorite cryptocurrency is Sondheim coin. It's you purchase one track from a Sondheim recording. So it's any of the professional cast recordings that they have. So I have purchased the revival Merrily We Roll Along from 1994, I believe.
As an NFT.
Just the track The Blob, which is the song that comes before Good Thing Going in the second act, of course. So anyway.
And my favorite crypto coin is Dogecoin is a good one. I'm feeling good about that one. Taco Bell coin, very excited to see what's coming up with Taco Bell coin.
I'm actually kind of pissed because I really the one that I was closest to actually buying was AMC several months ago.
That is not a coin.
No, I know, but I'm saying of all these things
all these consumer instruments of the market.
It's all the Reddit financials, that was the one I was closest to buying because I was like, that just makes sense that that's going to come back.
Yeah, I know.
It
already has.
Right.
I sold my AMC.
I know a bunch of people that made a good bit of profit on that, holding on to that AMC.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll do it again though. Anyway, or maybe I'll buy like some I don't know, is there a theater?
Iraqi dinar. Is
MTI publicly traded? Can I buy Music Theater International? Can I buy shares of Music Theater International?
LeBret coin?
Can I buy shares of Samuel French?
Yeah.
The rights holders to musicals.
I think that every musical is an NFT, and you can only see it the once, and then you can have it for $70 million, and then it's going to be very unclear. You know what you can do with that, but you have spent money on it, and that's what's important.
And there you go, and it's an image that is yours.
Yeah, you own that.
Just you
own that. It's gonna go well.
Let's take a bit of a break now. I think because we've been going.
Well, they know all about Fun Home now because we did such a great job.
We talked a good bit of. We kind of did a Fun Home sandwich. We did Fun Home at a bunch at the top, and then we talked about Carolina Change for a while, as we need to. And Carolina Change is going to get its own episode at some point. But then, but that's, I think, important context to know, I'm obviously a Tesori head. That's where I'm from. But also that...
Big T head, yeah.
But you were also there at that time that we were getting into that show. And that
most definitely, yeah.
Yes, and it's quite good. And Alex, as loyal viewers of the stream know, is one of the bigger musical theater skeptics I know of people that work in theater, including musical theater.
Right, yeah. It's just but it's just a numbers thing. It's like
Right.
it's most of it is bad. You have to just like be okay with that.
Okay. Reports from. Oh, by the way, I do want to give a shout out to the artist, the chatter formerly known as Lady Gugu. She is now her own person. Actually, I should. I'm even going to change this. She's her own person now, folks. She's Travels. She's Travel Scrabble. That's her. She's not attached to me. Also, when she was trying to like go on to Twitch streams by herself where I'm not there, people were like, "What's your name?" That's really weird. So yes. So now everybody,
They thought
please.
she was catfishing as.
She
as
will
Lord
always
Gugu.
be Milady.
You will always be a part of me.
But look at that. There she is.
Look at that.
Actually, I'll keep it all lowercase. It looks weird capitalized. There we go. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go to break now, everybody. We'll be back in 5 to 10 or so. Oh, let's say 5. Let's give it a good old 5. What time? So it's 9:08. So please be back at 9:13.
Thank you, 9:13.
There we go. We'll see you soon.
Actually, it's good. It's good, actually.
I got dizzy.
he hit the wall.
I actually felt sick
he
for
felt
like an
unwell.
hour after that.
This is what happens when you're dealing with a performer
I
that
have
just
it-
gives and gives.
I
and
have it
gives.
just like spun in a circle since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, oh
He
boy.
kept that up for upwards to 30 seconds. So it's tremendous working with someone like him.
If you missed that at the beginning, Alex did all the video editing work on that. And I did write that parody. I did do that. But and as always, with the ethos of first idea, best idea, dumbest,
Yep. We're
Dumb-
saying yes and, you know
right.
what I
The
mean?
thing that's like that is too dumb. I can't actually do that. That's what you have to do. I just realized that's reflecting back there. Okay, great. It's fine.
Yeah, this is fine.
This is us.
This is us.
This is us.
This is us. This is coming at CBS. There's going to be an hour-long drama. This is us.
Oh, that's true. Abby did also help with lighting.
Absolutely.
Yes. And just in general, like, she was absolutely present, and and we were all kind of having a great old time. So back to
The fun home.
to the fun home. It's the back door home, baby.
That's not in the show.
That is in the show.
Really?
That's the song Fun Home. Okay. Come to the fun home.
Great lighting.
It's
Yep.
the back door funeral home, baby. Fun home.
You're gonna love it here. It doesn't go like that, but it could.
What it is. It's great.
Yeah.
Great little number. And it's great because it also puts it in the time as well. And sort of where the kids were and a very fun thing to play with in that the father is very refined in his tastes, kind of, and their home. So one of the first big numbers where you meet sort of the whole family is the song "Welcome to Our House on Maple Avenue," which is mostly sung by the mom, and it's about I should stop saying the mom, Helen Bechdel, sorry. Played by Judy Kuhn, who I should say is also from this Maryland area as well. She grew up around here. And anyway, she's singing that song where it's about how he's very anal, basically, and expects the home to be, for lack of a better term, and also no pun. Is there a better term? He's very fastidious.
He's type A about
Yeah.
his sensibilities. He wants her, she begins doodling,
Right.
she begins drawing, and he's like,
Yes,
like
and he does not approve.
Right, you have to do the shading right, otherwise these will look like cartoons.
Right, she's doing a class assignment where she has to like draw a map, and she's drawing a kind of cartoony map with little cartoons and stuff like that. And he's like, "No, you have to shade it right. You got to do the topography. You got to capture all this stuff." And it's like a really cool moment because it gets out a lot of the tension, not just related to their sexuality, but to the point of view and the classic, disapproving
Right.
parent not approving of your art, not approving of yeah.
Right, and meanwhile, he's thrown his head into this, this idea that he's going to make their home just like...
Yeah, like a museum.
Like it would be an unending, thing for him, because clearly he's manifesting any control of his domestic life into...
At the end of the show, he's purchased another house that's like completely run down, and actually that's where he's outside of, I think, when he throws himself in front of the truck. But that was a house that you get the implication that he was getting prepared to just throw himself into another project instead of dealing with his shit, kind of, and then ultimately goes another way with it. So he's very like refined, and then that moment of fun for the kids is also like such a big break where it's like very pop and current to them, and getting their spirit, and there's also stuff where they're watching TV a lot, and the dad being like annoyed about what they're watching on TV is being plebeian or whatever. That's my word.
Yeah, but that's that song that you were alluding to with the kids dancing on the casket and stuff. That is a rare instance of something that you would see in like Caroline or Change, for example, where the music is matching like a genre of a moment.
Well, and it's also what they're doing in that number is they're acting out the commercial that they would do. Exactly. So it also so it's directly tied to like the pop culture. Like this is what they're portraying, what's on TV, and that happens again with Allison when she's watching. They don't say what it is, but it's implied to be either Brady Bunch or Partridge Family.
Right.
And
it's after he like. It's like this fantasy sequence where like the
everything's kind of falling apart.
Therapy fixed everything.
Everything's falling. Yeah, it's right after small Allison learns that her dad's going to a psychiatrist because a judge. All she knows is the judge told him he had to go to a psychiatrist. She doesn't really know what he did, but full-grown Allison is more aware of why this is happening.
Right.
But small Allison kind of then lives out a fantasy of what she wishes her family was like, and the entire cast comes out and sings this song called "Raincoat of Love," which is like sort of the same thing, a very 70s pop kind of song. So it has those cool flourishes like that. But I think it's interesting that they are all with the kids, and it's like, as she gets older, that's where the songs are a little more complicated.
Right. Like messier and
including... Let's get to it. Let's get into it, Alex.
All right.
A controversial number in this home. A number that my wife particularly doesn't care for. If people are familiar with the show Fun Home. There are a couple of numbers that are like sort of able to be taken out of context and people would perform as an audition song or at a cabaret or something like that. And one of them is the song Ring of Keys that I did the parody of there. That's for a child to do. It's a classic Broadway child song, which is to say the most maybe annoying song in the show that gets stuck in your head as well, but that you don't particularly like. Like Castle on a Cloud for me is the classic example of this. But anyway, the other one is Medium Allison's song.
Yeah,
when she's in college and she has just had her first lesbian experience, she's had sex with the object of her affection named Joan, and we love Joan. We love Joan. Joan, played by Roberta Colindrez. Just great vibes from Joan.
Yeah, great hair.
Yeah, the hair is
phenomenal
so much
hair.
of the vibe, and she's awesome. And Joan's sleeping, and she sings this whole song that's called "I'm Changing My Major to Joan."
To Joan, yeah.
And the chorus is like, "I'm changing my major to Joan. I'm changing my major to sex with Joan. I'm changing my major to sex with Joan with a minor in kissing Joan."
That's right.
That is a full set of lyrics.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this song, too, is that it is, like, markedly longer
it does
than
go, like,
most of the other songs.
At least 2 verses longer than in most of the other songs.
And it was, like, because if you're, like, looking at the lyrics on Genius or whatever, normally they're all kind of fit on one page, maybe a little scroll. This had, like, ad break, scroll, and it just kept going. And it was all kind of on that similar tick that it's very clear that Medium Allison has now prioritizing her lesbian relationship with Joan over her studies. And, that's you're getting that from the title, and you're not getting much deviation from that in the lyrical content, which, again, is pages long.
So I can justify it.
Go off.
And I will.
Go off.
I think it's intentionally embarrassing. Very, very. I mean, clearly. I think it's meant to be like an old journal entry or like an old poem that you wrote in school or something like that. And it is the naivety, the innocence, and the oversharing and the like keep sharing kind of energy, because it's like she hasn't dealt with at all her being a lesbian. Like when they get into it, yeah, well, Abby's big beef with it is she feels bad for Joan because she thinks that it's creepy. But I think it's sweet because she doesn't... It's just the classic, like, new to love. Because I would say that medium Alison at this point has only recently been cognizant of feeling, like, actual affection and love for another person, like, being real to her. Like, just... the idea of being a lesbian, like, doesn't even seem to have gotten into her purview until she gets to college, because we didn't actually say the place is that the fun home, where the home of the Bechtels are, is like rural Pennsylvania.
That's right.
It's like middle of nowhere. Small town Pennsylvania. So you can see how, like, especially, when she would have been I guess she was born in 1960, so this would have been like 1978 or so, that she would be going to college. That's, it's certainly 1978. It's starting to permeate more.
Yeah.
But it being her, it like in the scene right before the actual coitus happens, she talks about how she only recently realized that she was a lesbian because she went to a bookstore in the college town, and there was a book that I forget what it was called, but it's like it was a real book that was like about queer people just being open and saying, I am gay and this is what I do and this is my job, kind of, and it's just like kind of almost like a yearbook. And she would go to the bookstore, and she went back a couple of times to read the book, and then she finally bought the book, and then she went and bought everything in the gay and lesbian section, and that was kind of like a big opening for her. And this was
nice.
So that's like the intellectual of her, like, understanding it, but then this is the first time she's feeling it. And so it's just like spilling out of her. It's just like, it's been just bottled up so much, and this like avenue she didn't even know she had, and now she's like blah 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 blah. Yeah, it is also kind of a more classic show tune in the sort of sound, like the music. It certainly
sounds like a William Finn song to me.
I mean, it's lyrically I can see that, especially, but because he can get embarrassing. I love him though.
Yeah, he's short Ken. I think you did a very admirable job defending that song, and I think it's up to the.
Right,
up to you.
And
it wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it, but it was.
Well, the other thing that we saw on the Slime is that it plays great with the tourists. They were loving it. It like,
does feel like, I think I said in the chat at the time, like, it does feel like it might have been a producer note, like, to put something like that in. Yeah. Because nothing's quite like it. Like, we don't see the.
No, actually, no. I think that Ring of Keys is like it. I think that each Alison needs a song of, like, really kind of coming to an understanding about themselves. And I think that even Big Alison has it with Maps, as well as, and then Telephone Wire is kind of a different thing. But Maps is her having the epiphany that all that she knew of her father, and this is my favorite song in the show, as I said when we were watching.
It's a very good song.
And it's related again to that scene where she's drawing the map, and then it's full-grown Alison reflecting on that and singing, thinking about that map and about here's where her father was born, here's where we live, here's where he died. That's all I knew of him, because he did all these things, before she was born or whatever, but that his life to her was in this circle, in this small, in this like one area of the world kind of thing, and like just that the inherent tragedy in that kind of.
Yeah. So
I do think each of them does need their own song, and it needs to kind of reflect the moment in their maturity, like where they are with their sexuality, with all these kind of just in general identity, their relationship with their father.
Yeah.
Like all those things.
What's on their mind? What's making them tick?
Reminds you of Miracle. Are you talking changing your major to Joan? Reminds you of Miracle of Miracles? Because I could see that. Yeah, it is kind of. But I will say, Matt, that Miracle of Miracles is not even 2 minutes. And it's a great song, but it is in and out. That is a very quick song. Whereas changing my major to Joan is like.
It's beefy.
It's one of the longer songs in the show. Actually, let me
pull that right on up.
Oh, hey. Oh, Rodney Berry. Thank you so much for the raid. Hey, everybody.
We're talking about
Fun Home. The musical Fun Home.
Yeah. Oh,
Kate is hot. I got all my friends here. Heltran.
Wonderful.
Holy crap. Hello, everybody. Oh, thank you for following. We're talking about we're beginning Pride Month here, and we're talking about the wonderful, very queer musical Fun Home.
Which actually is also a funeral home.
Yes. It's the story of Alison Bechdel of The Test. She based on her graphic novel memoir of the same name, about her growing up and learning about herself and her sexuality, and also
her gay dad does kill himself.
Also, her gay dad does kill himself.
Her gay dad does kill himself, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just dealing with that.
So how do I search again? Okay. Yes. Okay.
What we're doing is looking up. Now we're settling a pretty.
We're just
petty
trying to
squabble.
look up. We're just
how long one
song is. It's not petty
is.
squabble. We're just looking up how long songs are. So
changing my major
is 4:22. That is among the longer songs.
Yeah. Welcome to our house.
Welcome to our house is just barely longer.
These are all okay.
And
Telephone
Wire is 4:30. So
it is the third longest song.
Yeah. So it is really up there. But it is. But I think it's
too long.
It reminds me, actually, okay, we just had a bunch of people raid and people are hanging out. We have to play it again. To play it again.
Please enjoy this content.
So, if people know Fun Home at all, there is a song that is sung... I'll introduce what the song... Because we actually haven't talked about the song.
That's right.
And it's sort of the most famous song from this show, or Actually, there was kind of like the biggest... I would say viral moment from this show was at the Tony Awards. Not the Tony Awards performance that Fun Home did, but before the Tonys, they did a thing where they did additional numbers from the shows that were nominated. And the number for Fun Home was the young actor Sydney Lucas, I should say. She's very, very talented little girl, saying her big number in the show, Ring of Keys, which is about her first time. She's in New York with her father, and it's her first time seeing a presenting as butch kind of lesbian, and what a mind blower that is for her. And it just and the Ring of Keys is because she's like this. I think she's said to be like a delivery driver kind of. So she's this woman that's in her work clothes, and she looks really rugged, and she's got this enormous
big ring of keys.
Big ring of keys that to this little 11-year-old girl is just the coolest thing. But so she sang that song for the Tonys, and that kind of people were like, wow, it's a really, really great song. You should listen to the actual song. It does have, I said earlier in the stream, a bit of child song from a musical energy where it can get really stuck in your head, and then maybe you don't like it anymore, but then you revisit it down the line, and it's good again. It does have that real good earworm, more than any other song.
Right, so it's an incredibly consequential, beautiful song, and that is now related to what we're about to show you.
So this was, as people know, or you might or may not know, I do a different theme song for this show every time. I've already played this twice, but because we just got rated, I'm going to play it a third time. And also, honestly, I hate to say it, I hate to sound conceited, it makes me laugh. So we're gonna play it again. Here we go.
Musicals aren't a bore. Just open your eyes and you'll see much more. It's real. They're real. I don't get how people succumb to basic opinions and then go numb to feels. They're better than you're saying when you judge them by Hamilton. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and ALW. Actually, it's good. It's good, actually. There's nothing at all that is wrong when an actor feels compelled to sing a song. I wish I know. So trust in what Goo will say, that musical theater is A-okay, and it's better than you're telling. It is more than Glee and Skrelting. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and there's Bill Finn too. Actually, it's good. It's good, actually.
So we dropped this is the third drop.
That was the third time we're playing that on this stream.
Yep. That's 6 solid streaming minutes of
You
spinning.
know, well, we worked.
We worked on it.
We didn't work hard on it, but we worked
But we worked on
smart on it. I don't know.
Well,
Alex did all the video editing work on that. So
quickly taught myself iMovie.
And also your ideas are like, we need to have spinning in there. That was your idea. Oh, thank you for the bits, Rodney. Very appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. So, in fact, I will say, I do different one of those every episode, and I have on my YouTube, which is youtube.com/BobbyLibby, my Christian name. That I have a compilation of a bunch of them, and they are all quite stupid, but I do think that is the dumbest one I've done yet.
Yeah.
So thank you for enjoying that. That was a parody of Ring of Keys,
Right.
which is a very beautiful and sweet number about a girl for the first time coming to understand something about herself that she always...
It was taken by this Ring of Keys.
Right, but it's like something that they do a really great job of having her struggle with it in an organic way as a young girl. I think particularly the scene where he's trying to get her to wear the dress, I think is like a really, really strong scene where her, closeted gay father is pleading with her and begging with her to wear a dress, and she really doesn't want to wear the dress. Like, she's really upset to be wearing it.
And his whole thing is like, do you want to stick out?
Right, he's like, do you really want to go in jeans and a jean jacket and like you'll be the only girl wearing that, and you're going to stick out so bad? And hearing that from a father who's extremely in the closet, and there's a lot of moments like that. And I think the other one is then, so after the embarrassing song, changing my major to Joan.
Yeah.
Changing my major to sex with Joan.
Yeah, very good major.
Changing my major to sex with Joan with a minor in kissing Joan. Mm-hmm. The real lyrics. It's a good song.
It's over 4 minutes of that.
It is the third longest song of the show. But after that, she's like, and it's a really good line in the show, which I think is actually a line that's direct from the memoir graphic novel as well. Is she says, I leapt out of the closet, where she has one of these coming outs where she's just like telling everybody, and she writes a letter to her parents that just like, I'm gay, and like sends it to them. Or I'm a lesbian, actually, I think.
I
don't remember.
I didn't write it.
I don't remember. It's same idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and she doesn't hear back for a long time from her father, and then when she does, she's like, it's kind of weird, the response, where he's like, oh, you're so dramatic, you're being over dramatic, and I don't understand
why you have to put labels on things.
You have to put labels on things.
Clearly this is projection.
He's like, I always think that it's healthy to do some experimentation, but your mother is extremely upset.
Right.
But like Allison never really directly talks to her mother about it for like weeks or years. Time is weird in the show. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? When she comes home, I think for Thanksgiving, she brings Joan home, and that's where a lot of it kind of gets opened up. And I think it's at least implied in the show that her father dies shortly after that whole time. Yeah. Anyway, folks, this is a musical. This is a show about how musical theater is good, and this show is extremely good. Actually, on our most recent episode 2 weeks ago with the extremely funny Demi Lardner, where we talked about the extremely funny Pirates of Penzance, classic a show that's over 140 years old or something and still hits. The comedy still hits.
Unimpeachable.
It's got bits in there that are like like Who's on First of like that level, and it's the comedy still hits. And then it also has like Kevin Kline and shit. But anyway, part of that discussion with Demi was she asked, I think it was Demi, it actually might have been Mitch, it was one of the other, I think it was Demi though, she asked what was the last great musical, and I said Fun Home. I mean, this was, and I should say that I haven't seen like Hades Town or something, like I haven't seen everything, so, but of what I've seen, actually I don't even think I've said this on this show yet, this is, I believe, the first musical that we've talked about that I saw live with like this whole cast.
Really?
Yeah. And well, most of the entire cast, Emily Skeggs, who plays Medium Allison, was out filming something, I think, and so she had her understudy at the time, took over for a few months, and that's who I saw, and she was fantastic as well. And I believe some of the kids had also been switched out at
for
this
labor
point.
reasons.
Well, and also because I mean, you can only play. I mean. Right. This show had a pretty long development process. I believe they started like doing workshops and stuff in like 2009. You know, and the book came out in 2006. So like they were pretty early on about making this. I think it was Lisa Cron actually the book writer and lyricist.
What else has Lisa Cron been up to?
So let me get to her major works as well. Let's see what Lisa Cron is. Okay, it's all about her Fun Home. Hang on. Major works. Okay, yeah. Well is another one. Relationships between mothers and daughters and wellness. Okay. And they're both kind of. They're autobiographical or. Yes. Yeah. Well was, I think, autobiographical on her part.
And so is 2.5 Minute Ride.
Yeah. And so she is frequently dealing with being a lesbian in her work, and so I think that may have been the initial hook. And then just knowing Jeanine Tesori, I think, was a great person to partner with. And anyway, it ran off Broadway first, and I don't think they were necessarily going to bring it to Broadway because it doesn't really like necessarily scream Broadway. I mean. I guess they were always going to get it there, but they kept extending the off-Broadway run, and they ended up. Let's see where.
Because what's contemporary to this? Like.
Well, so Hamilton. It was in 2013 that October 2013 was when it opened. And it was only scheduled to run through November 3rd. That's only a few weeks. But then it kept getting extended. It ran all the way through January of 2014. And that's when then they made the decision to transfer it to Broadway. But when they did that, when it was off Broadway, it is in what we call proscenium staging. Now, folks, let's sit down. So I'm gonna teach you something. A proscenium just means that there's. Oh, look, you're gonna use visual aids.
I don't know how this would help.
I don't know either. Well, let's just. It's
the proscenium stage is the stage
when there's
that
a stage.
Is when you think of it.
Yeah, is when you think of a stage and there's wings and there's the top of it, right?
And
that's
you can see the top. You can see the borders of it.
And the audience is all in front.
Yeah.
That's most your theaters. Most of your theaters are gonna be this.
Yeah.
And yeah, there could be a proscenium arch, correct? That protrudes. In front of the proscenium itself, but the audience
like an
is all,
apron is also.
But the audience is all on the other side. Then there is what is known as arena seating, which is a full 360 degrees around. There's arena stage in Washington D.C. is a theater in the round that does.
Yes, arena or in the round. So
right.
If you ever hear of something as in the round,
this being in the round,
that means that the stage is in the middle.
Auditorium style setup for the proscenium is another good way of thinking of that. And there's also thrust staging, which is when the stage comes it's not necessarily it's not on all four sides, but it comes way far out, and then you have audience on three sides basically of it. But there's still like a backstage.
You can think of I think wasn't Beyonce's one of her shows, her big live show when she had the whole
Homecoming?
brass band. Yeah, didn't that have a thrust? A lot of like big pop acts do thrust where they could walk down on a
had, like,
catwalk.
the thrust where it was like it went around
Yeah.
the audience, and there was
Right.
like a second stage, like
Right.
fully in front, which was in its own way kind of arena. I mean, I would do a whole episode on Beyonce as one of the great theatrical innovations, especially just on
Shakespeare stage,
just
indeed.
Homecoming, especially is on such a scale. I bow down. Anyway,
So this show would Fun Home looked like thrust. It was perceived
so I saw
as
it live.
thrust.
It is in the Circle in the Square Theater, which is a theater that is in the round. And I believe, and somebody can correct me wrong, 'cause, I mean, I saw this, but it was 5 years ago, and I believe that there was an audience behind the side that has the band,
Right.
and that's also the side where full-grown Allison's drawing table is, where
Right.
she's doing her cartooning. So. Because and that was mostly a sound issue because the audience
Right.
being that close to the band, like balancing it would just be
Well, there was
a nightmare.
clearly, but this is the reason I think that it's like definitely thrust, because there is a clear upstage to it all. There is not a clear upstage in the round. Like the upstage is
Yeah.
like where the band is.
That's true. There's a clear upstage, but what
Yeah.
but what it's not is that's not where the backstage is. You know what I mean?
Sure, that's
so
fine.
that aspect of it is still very much in the round.
Right.
Yeah, but
And then there's also, you know what, why don't we just round them out? There's tennis court style seating
tennis
as
court
well.
is where thinking about a tennis court. and it's
Audience on either side looking
both sides.
towards each other.
I think that's
towards
a
the
really
action.
underrated one. The
It's-
tennis
you're-
court seating. I wish people would do it more.
The issue is, well, I guess you kind of run into this with Thrust too, and in the round, obviously, but like it's just so remote.
Yeah,
especially,
alley is another way to put it.
yeah, totally. But like, especially when they're like bleachered audience seats and they're looking down onto something, which is a popular way to set up tennis court. Your eye line is other humans that are watching versus like.
Right. Well, I think you have to be really intentional about the types of shows that you put in
Right.
thrust or arena.
For example, through the Looking Glass. No, Looking Glass is Allison. Is that the big one they do?
Yes, that's in Chicago, Looking
Yeah.
Glass Theater. The theater, co-founded by
David Schwimmer.
Schwimmer,
Yeah,
Ross
they do
himself.
awesome work.
They are an awesome theater company that does crazy physical.
Yeah,
theater
so they
stuff.
did this Alice in Wonderland that I was happening to date a man rich enough to buy me tickets to. That was you go in and you sit, and you like there's an upstage and there's some of the action is happening, and then at one point all the curtains drop. And you realize you've only been watching half the show. There's now another audience on the other half that you're staring at, and all the shows have come together at that point, which was a very inventive way to use tennis court
and
seating.
to feel through the looking glass. Yeah,
Exactly.
also-
yeah, very cool. Mm-hmm.
Alex, I will mention another notable production at the Ruth Martyr Theater at
Heard of it.
Towson University in October 2007. A production of Martin McDonagh's The Pillow Man. Really, really brilliant production. Used thrust staging where they had two very long rows of audience on the side as well, which wasn't like extensive thrust, but it was enough. And what it gives you, and especially on a show like The Pillow Man, I mean, the director was very brilliant to do this. When you're dealing with these very intense emotions, and especially like intense swings, feeling very different ways about characters, like really suddenly and very conflicted, being confronted with other people's reaction to that, even just in your periphery, and even when you're in the like main part of the audience, like the way that brilliant director, whoever that was, had it staged, where that the majority of the audience was sort of in that traditional auditorium spot. And I would say that even though this is thrust or arena, it is mostly kind of tennis court, because the smallest section would be that one. I mean, like the majority of the audience is on the either long side.
Gotcha.
It,
But
it feels like a gymnasium.
The slime,
almost, kind of.
the slime
The
procurer
slime person
happened to be
was
in the
in
more
that
proscenium style,
right, sort of the
arrangement,
opposite end of where the band was on one corner of
Yeah.
that. But anyway, that so that production of The Pillow Man, number of people changed their majors, not to Joan, to theater, because they saw that production. Whoever directed it,
Just
really good.
absolutely exhausting. It's being so exhausting.
I
It was
really
a
am the
wonderful-
worst.
He's one of the worst.
I hate
people.
myself as much. I'm just like Bruce Bechdel. No, I'm not. No,
Happy
I'm not.
Pride, everyone.
No, I am not. I am not.
You're not like Bruce Bechdel.
Bruce Bechdel is
a very complicated man.
complicated man.
I think that we're all adults here discussing this, and I think that, clearly there are some problematic behaviors that are raised in this version of his life, and I think we can just not have to engage with them. Right. I don't think we have to look at it. It's clear to me that was not the playwright's intent, was to be was my dad a groomer or a pedophile?
No,
but
it's her just dealing with who he was,
right.
And and you have to take it all.
Right.
That's the thing.
I think you get more enjoyment and catharsis from the show if you look at him sympathetically.
Yeah, and one of the things I appreciate most about this show is that it doesn't shy away from that. It doesn't make him just a tragic. Just purely a martyr, no, he's still tragic, but I mean not just the purely sort of how I was almost describing him before when I was kind of comparing it to Caroline, where it's oh, how sad that he didn't get to live as himself. It's also just he was a mess of a person, his entire, and he left his family messy. He has shades of Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems or something, where he is living that destructively, and he ostensibly cares about his family and these people close to him, but he just acts in a way that's so reckless and endangering for them at the same time.
Yeah.
That, it's who he is. It's just
but how he wins is working on his little house, and how Adam Sandler wins is very extreme betting.
Right.
Very life or death financial situations for him.
Right. But so
Uncut Gems the musical could be fun.
Oh, that would
be really fun. That would be fun.
You should just get The Weeknd to do the music.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
I think you would have to make it. I don't think it could live like that. I don't think it could live totally as
Leslie Odom Jr. as Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Well, who would play?
I think you get Adam Sandler.
No. I think Brian Darcy's got to do it. Brian Darcy James. Templeton Stagg, tell me who's playing Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems the musical.
Yeah.
Or it could be a classic Andy Carl. I mean, he always gets called in for these, especially a movie adaptation. He loves to start a movie adaptation.
Norbert Leo Jones, is that his name?
Norbert Leo Butts, yeah.
Butts. Okay, pretty close.
It was very close. You know those three names. Mm-hmm. It's much funnier last one.
Zachary Ty Bryan. I want Zachary Ty Bryan. I want Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I want Norbert Leo Butts.
And Courtney Cox Arquette. Who's no longer just Courtney Cox now. And
okay, cool. Then obviously, but you're bringing Adina in, right? Adina's gonna Adina.
Oh, Adina will play Adina.
Right.
Adina will play.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why not then just lean into that and
I might have Adina lip sync because you can't rely on her live. Well, actually, it'll be fine as long as it's not televised. If it's a televised live thing, she's gonna blow it. You can set your watch to it. If there is a live televised performance of Adina Menzel, she will screw up.
And that's Adina. You are on notice. Okay?
I mean, I love her, and she's awesome. Especially in Uncut Gems, she is really good in that. And I like her. In movies and on soundtracks.
Oh, and Taye Diggs isn't tall. Because if you can get her, you can get him.
No, they're not together anymore. They're not together anymore. They haven't.
But they're still. Years. But they're. I have it on inside knowledge that their professional lives are still untangling from one another's.
Well, I mean,
their fates are.
Wow, there we go. Some inside tea. You're right. Sandler could absolutely
sing. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
why not?
Well, and Sandler has had his work adapted to Broadway before with The Wedding Singer. It's true. They did a full Broadway show of it.
Wasn't it just a shell for them to do a jukebox musical though?
No, it wasn't a jukebox. No, it had original music. Yeah, I don't really like it. He
could do Hanukkah,
and it did.
And Piece of Shit Car.
It did keep the "I Want to Grow Old with You" song, and also the song where he's like, the song where he screams and goes, "It all was bullshit." They keep that song in there too. There's some song. It's not an 80s pastiche of songs, but it is an 80s pastiche of references in the way that the movie was.
Of course.
But somehow when you do the Broadway sheen on it, in the way that the movie was more like these are fun running jokes. It's like this is the selling point of the Broadway show. This is the angle.
I think the problem is.
And the other difference is the end of Wedding Singer, the movie, it all happens on the plane to Las Vegas, where he like sings the song to her. Whereas, so in and then Billy Idol is involved with getting sort of assisting Adam Sandler's character. In the musical, it happens in Las Vegas, where they're like actually about to get married, and he like crashes it with a bunch of celebrity impersonators, including one who is impersonating Billy Idol, as well as there's a Reagan impersonator.
Oh, that's fun.
And
That's very
a
fun.
Mr. T impersonator.
That's right, because you can scoop those guys up. You just go to Hollywood Boulevard. You can get that. They'll work for a song.
Well, I mean, like it's the ensemble that gets to play these parts. I mean, it looked like when I saw it, it looked like a fun show to be in the ensemble for it. But I as a viewer, did not particularly care for the adaptation.
That's like me with that Sister Act musical, man. That is the freaking travesty what they did.
No, some of those movie adaptations, like the real tragic one for me, and it's a musical I want to talk about here soon on this show, is Newsies. Very important to.
Yeah,
I mean, really important to my falling in love with musicals. Completely honest. When I was 7, I literally watched it every week.
Was Swing Kids a musical?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't know Swing Kids, honestly.
That was
Is that also Christian Bale?
I don't know. I just know that is the one I saw when Newsies came out. Someone was like, "You got to watch Swing
Matt
Kids."
says that Wedding Singer was great live. Maybe on Broadway. I mean,
Look, it's okay to disagree.
it's the adaptation choices. It's just like it's tough. But and on adaptation choices, yeah, Newsies.
Trash for the can, huh?
So like the movie. Look, I'm not gonna act like the movie's perfect, okay? But I will say that Disney somehow accidentally made a socialist musical. I don't know why, but they did.
This whole starting to feel very AM radio.
No, it's amazing. I mean, like, it's the movie that introduced me to leftist the musical that introduced me to leftist politics and unions and, like, connecting then, oh, my mom's also in a union because she's a teacher and stuff like that, and be like, ooh, wow, that's cool. And, so, yeah, but, you know, it has flaws. In particular, the romantic interest for Christian Bale's character, who is the sister of David, the other friend, blah 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 blah. She's kind of a nothing character. So the musical's going to fix this by having her replace the God character that is Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman himself's character. They replace him with a reporter who's now a woman, which I don't know, late 19th century. I don't know how that tracks the turn of the century there. And not just a woman, but also the main big bad of Newsies is, as we all know, Joseph Pulitzer. So also growing up loving Newsies, I never understood why the Pulitzer Prize was like a good thing, because he was a bad man. So they make her character the daughter of Joseph Pulitzer, that is also reporting, but then like going against her father, so it combines the Bill Pullman character and the lame romantic interest, and she becomes a romantic interest,
right? But so that way you have that evil point of view be redeemable, right?
Yeah, I'm sure she does that's part of it too. Yeah. And it just really undermines the whole thing, and it really sucks. So that's a really bad adaptation choice. So the Newsies live, I think it was on Netflix. It may still be on Netflix. Don't fucking watch it. It's stupid.
I have not seen it. Backing up again to
or no, it's Jeremy Jordan. Sorry, go
to Uncut Gems, the musical. I think you'd have to. One of the bigger challenges, you'd have to pare down the cast. You'd have to really be like really judicious about characters, because there's a lot of characters in that.
Well, there's a lot of characters. You do some doubling for sure, like between the family and like the parties and stuff like that. You do a full. I think you'd almost want to have it be like a true kind of ensemble, with him obviously being like the focal point, the central character. But then like
I want to read that script.
Like a play that we both have seen and loved. Actually, this is the play I saw the day before I saw Fun Home on Broadway. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, the adaptation of a really great book as well.
You saw that in New York?
Yeah, I saw
it in Chicago.
Yeah, I saw that in Broadway, and you saw it, when it toured in Chicago. And that is a great ensemble show, in the way that when the whole ensemble sort of works together and does stuff. I would see it sort of like that, of like there's this whole chaotic world around him, and then like the ensemble kind of doing that, like and playing different parts. But I like that kind of shit.
Did the musical Amazing Grace ever make it to Broadway?
It did, I think, and it's bad. That's a true reprehensible musical. That's a true evil musical.
I saw that. I got tickets for it from
a
friend, and it was very nice of him. This is not to disparage him or his family.
I had many friends in it. It played at the National Bible Museum, and it like toured in advance of that, and I just was like, I can't. That's a reprehensible show.
But you saw it?
No, I didn't ever see it. Tell them what it is.
It's okay. It is a story of the guy who would go on to write the hymn Amazing Grace, and you spend most of the time with him as a reluctant slave trader, until finally, at like the last possible minute, he's like, "No, I will assist in the I don't know, some freeing like this group of people that he was trafficking back and forth.
And I'll write a song about it."
Right, and it was like passed off to be this like triumphant, like, ooh, look at the story of redemption. And don't get me wrong, I do think that stories of redemption are like, we have to be comfortable watching like characters do bad things in order for them to change. I feel like as a culture we're uncomfortable with like allowing people grace to evolve,
or even just like feeling people need to be fully readimable or not, that there can never be like weird, you don't know how you
that
feel.
Isn't my problem, because it wasn't this nuanced look at like the turmoil of what it takes from someone to go from slave trading to abolition. What it was is like this, like, look how great this guy is. We don't spend any time like dealing with his thought process. It's just like, anyway, if you're making a show, you should not like about the slave trade, like the chattel slave trade from America to Africa. You should not probably look to a white character to be the lead
that is perpetrating the actual slave trading.
The entire concept of it. But oh my god, I stood up after it was done because it previewed in Chicago, and I got tickets to that. So before anyone in New York had to see it, and I think they were like really looking to the audience to like help us figure out if this is okay. And I got up and I was with a friend, and we were like, this was gross. Like, this is not great. And it was just like this woman who must have been in her 50s, just like beaming from ear to ear, white lady turns around and is like,
she also loved Green Book. Oh, Green Book the musical. That
let's
would work.
Put that in the trash too. Just like, wasn't that remarkable? Like it. Yeah. However, I will say they did this thing where like they use there's flying in it, and I do like flying. They do I did enjoy that. The music was nothing to write home about. I didn't think there just wasn't much going on, and its entire existence is problematic beyond defense.
I would again just like to reiterate that this played in residence. It may still be nothing was playing, but I mean up until the pandemic, playing in residence at the National Bible Museum. That's a private museum in DC. National Bible Museum.
What was that abolitionist name that everyone's
John Brown.
Church? John Brown. Why not write a musical about him?
I would love it.
If you're going to do a white guy slavery musical.
There's literally already a song.
Just do it.
John Brown's body lies moldering in the ground. There's already there's lots of songs about John Brown.
I also think that I am prescribing this to the universe. There should also be a musical set in Appalachia that deals with like the workers' revolts at the turn of the century when Appalachia was a hotbed of socialist thought in America.
Modern Appalachia, Winter's Bone the musical, or The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia the musical. We'll really get in there. No, that's kind of actually a little poverty porny. But I wanted to talk about another problematic musical involving slavery in Frank Wildhorn, another...
I'm sorry, Hillbilly Elegy the musical.
Hillbilly Elegy the musical, absolutely.
Fucking awful. Presented by the Lincoln Project in partnership with Raytheon.
Glenn Close is like, no thanks, I'm not interested. I already got my Tony. I'm just going for the O. Just going for the O. Don't have any time for that.
Amy Adams, though, already on board?
No, I was talking about Frank Wildhorn has done a show that's gone by many names. It was first premiered as, I think, the Civil War. It was what it was just called. It was just called the Civil War. And I saw it when it played at Ford's Theater and had some friends of mine in it. And then it was called Freedom's Song. And it was basically there's not a story. It's kind of like almost like a song cycle of songs from various perspectives in the Civil War. Okay, sure. But Frank Wildhorn, extremely just white, I think British guy. I actually don't know. No, actually, I don't think he is British. But he's just, very white guy. And he's got these songs that the, black ensemble is singing. And it's like this first like big number with them, and they like all come on, and they're like, and it's them actually like I think at the slave market or something too, where they're like they're in the shackles and everything, and they're singing this song, and this is the refrain of the song. It goes, and it feels just like you're dying when someone ain't free. And it's like, I just hate that these actors are having to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
That money still spends.
I mean, and like some great vocal performances, including, I have to shout out the amazing Kevin Mcallister, one of my favorite voices here in DC. Kevin Mcallister was getting ready to open the new Broadway revival of Caroline or Change as the driver/bus.
That's a good track.
He was getting ready to play that.
That's a great track.
And then the pandemic hit. It was just getting into previews. Chip Zien was the grandfather who sings about the $20 bill, the socialist grandfather. Oh my God, I was so excited to go see it. So hopefully that happens. Again, bringing it back to Tesori. Alex, been going a while. Let's get to our final thoughts. I sound like Nick Weiger. Let's get to our final thoughts about Fun Home.
2.5 forks.
I think it's good, actually. No, I really think this is one of the best shows we've talked about on this show, honestly. I mean, again, it's not my favorite Tesori. I will say, the first time when I saw it live, I wouldn't say I was underwhelmed. I may have built myself up too much about it and wanted more numbers, I guess, which is silly because here I am.
There are 27.
Chief Sondheim Defender. I did not know that there's there's a Fun Home book sequel. I will seek that out because, and actually I still haven't even read the proper Fun Home, so I should read that too, because I really love Alison Bechdel's sort of just whole point of view, and I think this show does such a great job honoring her.
Was she involved with this show?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
consulting.
She was consulting. She was very supportive of it.
But she didn't write like the script or anything. Consulting.
I don't believe so. But I'm sure
she's a cartoonist.
I'm sure that they were consulting her freely. But like, it's it's a really like wonderful just capturing of that. And I will say that then the number at the end, the final number, is extremely powerful because it's really, I don't know if there's original material in the song, actually. I think the song is almost all themes cobbled from the show.
Yeah.
But it's full-grown Alison for the first time singing with both medium and small Alison. And they're all singing together, echoing each other, supporting each other, harmonizing at times. And it's this just like beautiful moment of like clarity of you're getting like it all coming together for her, sort of. But and like the thing she says at the end is that there were there were times that I would fly above my father, because what starts the show is small Alison doing one of her favorite things as a child to do with her father, where
be made an airplane.
Be made into an airplane where he lays on his back, he puts his legs up straight, and she like balances herself over it, and he holds her hands to kind of, so she's looks like she's flying like an airplane or whatever. And it's her coming back to that image and about and I think that that's sort of a beautiful image in the same way of the like underwater one from Caroline or whatever, where it's that she got to kind of soar above this, but like that's all still there. Like that's all still what's like grounding her, is like that's all like the part of her journey and all of it. I don't know. I'm running out of words. What do you think, Alex?
Okay. So I will say I came into it blind and I had not heard it, and I did watch it in under less than ideal circumstances, which is to say it was projected magically by some sort of slime creature.
No, the Bechdel Anonymous crew, as far as anonymous hackers go, they're okay, and I also just don't want any more. I don't want any more smoke with them. Mm-hmm. Of all the people that have hacked me, they're very accommodating.
Leave me and my family alone, please.
Yeah, no,
leave us alone. Leave me and my family alone.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, good things. I was delighted by it in a lot of the choices in like the amount of characters they chose to do it, how they chose to present it. Like I think it was like very captivating, like storytelling and like the theater work, like really good, beautiful story,
minimal, really subtle.
Yes,
too,
incredibly well acted. For a messy emotional story, like what they chose to investigate, like it didn't not and this also will get in my criticism. I think that this is by design, though. It wasn't a saddest, like it wasn't the story necessarily. The most of the emotion and catharsis you get from it is like this kind of meta re-reflection you get from this narrator, adult Alison character. I think that was cool. I think that that's a beautiful way to contain the story. And like obviously Michael Service was amazing, and you know it's brilliant.
Michael Service did win a Tony for best.
Yeah,
actress.
and like, and then it goes to my criticism is that like in that like that ending song is quite beautiful. I just think that there were times where I could have really used a little bit more like energy in some of it, and there are beautiful moments where it splashes. But like it didn't necessarily feel like very satisfying at the end.
I mean, I definitely feel what you're saying, because like that was really my experience first watching it too. I remember I went and saw it with my friend at the time that I was doing something in New York with, and then we talked about it afterwards, and we were like, and I think we both had kind of just built it up a lot because we knew the story and we knew and just even hearing about what the musical was about, I was like, yes, I'm in.
Yeah,
like,
and all that shit is great. Like, yeah.
Right, and it does do a really good job portraying all of that. But yeah, to your point, it doesn't have necessarily the arc or the more traditional structure of the musical of like the build and the climax and all that kind of stuff. It is much more nebulous. It's actually like. In that classic, but it seems very intentional.
I agree. I think,
but you're right. It's hard to like recommend though, like a show that leaves you feeling kind of like, I don't know, I wanted more. Yeah. But I think it's intentionally leaving like you don't get the nice bow. You don't get like you have to kind of live in that and just reflect and
which is why I think like its existence off Broadway, makes sense, right? Like this is a show that like should stay open, and it shouldn't surprise you that it's running longer and longer and longer, because people who are seeking out theater, it's like listening to a challenging album. If you're like a fan of an artist or like a musician or something like that, and like this is going to be their weird album, you might not follow him or her with this, right? Like it's kind of like that. It's like it's real heads like it, and it's totally satisfying for like people who are like looking for like cool new ways to approach musical theater. It wouldn't make sense for it to be on Broadway, where it's like people going up to a tickets booth being like, I want to see a Broadway show, point me to whatever one is less than $100 or whatever, and it's like you can see all these things. They will give you that traditional Broadway experience. This show is much more, I think, contained, and it wouldn't be for those people,
but I think that this is the kind of show that is It can still come across to even like the middle of the road kind of tourist that's just wandering into this, that gets a very cursory explanation of it and says, okay, yeah, that sounds all right. And watches it.
I think that like liberal parents would like be like, oh, what a shame. I love my queer child. Like I would never be like this. And they would still be like, isn't that a shame? Look how good I am.
Yes.
That's something for them.
Right. The white liberal just sitting there, it's just like, I just wish it was a queer POC.
Yeah, exactly.
They say it like that. Why couldn't we have queer POC representation? Right? And they look around.
They look around.
Right? Right? Am I right?
I'm sorry. We're holding it accountable.
We are. We're taking it into account. All right. I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I'm getting bothered. I'd like to leave.
Hot and bothered. But this was really fun, Alex. All right. Let me just give a quick preview of what we got going on. I'm so feelers out to a few guests, so we got at least one person that I think I'm pretty good on, and I want to get maybe one or two others, because next week Actually, in fact, Alex, you're welcome to join for this as well. I mean, but you were here this week, and also Alex was here all day, and we made that video and stuff, which was great. That was like the best. Alex and
we're also friends, and it's okay to hang out.
No, I know, but I mean, like that's like our friendship though is when we like make creative stuff together. So that was like the best time. But next week I'm going to be talking about a certain very big movie musical that is coming out on this coming Friday by the one and only Lin-Manuel Miranda in the Heights. And I will say, for next Saturday's show, one night only, I will be unbanning the one band term.
Good luck.
Just for the night, because it's going to be hard to have it be banned. It's going to be hard to talk about a Lin-Manuel Miranda musical and not.
Well, I mean, you can speak the word.
I can speak it, but I know I don't want to limit the chat though. I don't want to limit what the chat can.
You can say H slur. You can say H. You can use the asterisk. Come on, we all have Twitter. We know how to do this. Okay, you can unban the word.
Okay,
I am,
but
I am reminding you. I do administer
I love it
the
being
chat.
a banned word in general. I am going to unban it for the one night. And then the following week is June 19th, Juneteenth. I want to do like a show from a black writer of musicals. So I will finally be doing a full episode on Passing Strange.
That's great.
Also working on guests for that. And then week after that, folks, that's right. We're going all 3 weeks into the future. I've got one of the writers of The Wedding Crashers 2. That's right. Evan Susser, the commissioner of Doughboys himself, and a fellow Montgomery County, Maryland native, going to be on the show, and we will be talking about Godspell. So those are the next few weeks. Got a great few weeks of shows lined up, and then I think I'll do some sort of patriotic musical on July 4th weekend, and then I'm going to take a couple of months at that point. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. Really,
a couple months for what?
Just,
Off.
Oh,
okay. I thought
a
it
couple
was maybe
months
24 hours for a couple months.
No, a couple months. Well, I'll say off from doing this show, but I'm also going to be during that time experimenting with doing other kinds of streams on my stream. Mm-hmm. So I'll still be streaming, but it'll be maybe more loose and trying other stuff. But this show will be coming back.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. I've talked about a lot of musicals. This has been such a fucking fun ass season since January. Just all the people that have been here, all of you people that have been hanging out. It's been awesome. Okay, I will shut up in just a second. Let me just get to my end screen and make sure that
you don't want to roll it one more time?
Should we? Okay, wait. I'll ask the chat. Do you want to watch the video one more time? Video one more time, yes or no?
Yeah, you've overloaded it. That's why the chat started coming in.
Okay,
we got
it. We got one yes. If I hear one more yes, I'll play it one more time.
Come on, just one more. Yeah, why not? Great, that's wonderful.
All right, that's
great.
all we needed.
Thank you. This enthusiasm just pouring in for it.
Okay, we're gonna play it one more time, but we aren't gonna come back.
We're not coming back, so you can don't tell us, but
right.
You can go ahead and turn it off.
I'm gonna play it, and then I'll find somebody to raid and all that, and we'll go to the end screen from there.
Yep.
Okay, thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Musicals aren't a bore. Just open your eyes and you'll see much more. It's real. They're real. I don't get how people succumb to basic opinions and then go numb to feels. They're better than you're saying when you judge them by Hamilton. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and ALW. Actually, it's good. It's good, actually. There's nothing at all that is wrong when an actor feels compelled to sing a song. I wish, I know. So trust in what Gugu will say, that musical theater is A-okay, and it's better than you're telling. It is more than Glee and Skrelting. There's Sondheim and there's Tesori and there's Bill Finn too. Actually, It's good actually.